Hey guys, welcome into Team Build Tuesday here on Fantasy Football Academy 2020. As always, I am the Dean, your host, and today we're still talking about environmental drafting today. Listen, we're going to be running through some quarterbacks that have the most and the least environmental change around them. These are guys who are off of the top 12 list that I went over with Professor Chet. So we're going to dive into it. First, what we're going to do is we're going to touch on some news. There's been some news through the NFL. Look, I couldn't believe it when I saw it myself, but Dez Bryant worked out with the Ravens. That's right. Dez Bryant could be heading to Baltimore. Now, what does this mean for your fantasy team? This means that Mark Andrews, the number 3 tight end off the board in most drafts, is going to be falling because those targets that he was getting are going to be going to Dez. What else does this mean? This means that Hollywood Brown is going to be devalued. So check it out, follow it. If Dez signs with Baltimore, look for the ADP of both Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown to start going down. Not saying that they're not going to be a fantasy impact, but saying you could probably get them cheaper than what they're going right now, okay? So think about that. Also, a little comment about all these injuries that have been happening. We saw the Cardinals lost their Alfred quarterback for the Cardinals. They lost him to a torn pec. He's gone for the season. And the Cowboys lost Gerald McCoy. I know. I'm sad. Moment of silence. Time's up. Listen, I don't like to see any player hurt, and I know these guys have families and stuff, but, it's Cowboys and I'm Washington fans. So, sorry, and I hope you get better. But, with all of this, with the no preseason and limited practice and pads and stuff like that, I'm telling you right now, expect more injuries, okay? This is why your depth is so important when you do drafts, okay? When you're doing these mock drafts, and not just depth for you on your fantasy team. We're talking about depth for the team to guys that they can replace, because having McCoy out is going to affect the defense. Well, what does that affect? That affects how the Cowboys offense runs, because if they're down in games, they're going to be passing more, which is going to devalue Zeke. They're not going to be leaning on the run because they're not going to be ahead. They're not going to be able to lean on Zeke to kill time and just grind out a lead. So take a look. Make sure that you're plugged in. Like I said before, make sure you are plugged into multiple outlets. Just like this show, go down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share. I myself follow the Ballers, the Fantasy Football Ballers. I also follow ESPN, NFL, of course, my Skins. So I also keep track of all the other 31 teams in the NFL. I know there's more than just my Washington team. So, but plug into multiple outlets. You can also find me on Twitter at FantasyDean20 on Twitter. Go check me out. I always post the shows that you can watch on Twitter or through Twitter. There's also a bunch of guys that I follow that are just grinders like me, just followers. They follow me, I follow them. If you guys are out there, I appreciate the love, and sending it right back to you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's topic, which is quarterbacks with the best and the worst environment around them, okay? We're going to start off with the least amount of change, and these are quarterbacks who, like I said, they were in that top 12 list that I ran down with Chet. If you missed that episode, go back. It was bounce back and repeaters, guys who I felt were going to either bounce back from this season that they had or repeat top 12 performance. And the top 12 performance basically is guys that are the first rounders or the number one guys that you're going to be picking. So, of course, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, These guys have the least amount of change around them. So neither one of them had coaching changes that affected them directly. There was only additions, no subtractions. The Chiefs are basically coming back with the exact same team that they had when they won the Super Bowl last year. Lamar Jackson is coming back with an addition in J.K. Dobbins through the draft, and Pat Mahomes is coming back with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yes, they lost Damon Williams, but I'm telling you right now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a better runner. He's a better pass catcher coming out than Damon Williams was. He's going to give you a lot more upside. That's why he's going in the first round. That's right. If you want Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a running back, you're going to have to pay up for him, okay? But as far as Lamar and Pat go, look, there's very little change. And I know it's really difficult for guys in this field that I've seen to go out on a limb and say, yes, Pat Mahomes is going to repeat. Yes, Lamar Jackson is going to repeat. They're always talking about regression and this, that, the other thing. And it's true. The regression in the rushing for Lamar Jackson will probably decrease. But, I mean, let's get real. Even if it decreases a little bit, he's still far and away the best fantasy option at quarterback that you can have. Now, of course, the more proven of the two is Pat Mahomes, simply because he's been doing it for a while. I mean, think back. Mahomes' first year, did we really think that he was going to do what he did? No. So, I mean, the guy's had a 50-touchdown season in his past, so why can't he repeat that? I think he can. I think he's got the weapons and the tools to jump that back up. Now, last year, Lamar Jackson had 36 touchdowns, but Matt Stafford was on pace for 38 touchdowns. Through 8 games, he threw 19 touchdowns. Guys, look, that's an astronomical pace, okay? So Matt Stafford is another one. He didn't make the top 12 because he missed so many games, but he's a guy who was on my bounce back that is going to come through for you as long as he stays healthy. So keep an eye on that. Yes, he's an injury risk, but he's a guy that you can get later in the draft. I've been picking him up 10th, 11th, 12th round even. So this is a guy who can give you a really high fantasy upside with a low amount of risk. You can wait on him. You can get him later. Another guy that we're looking at that has the least amount of change around him, Russell Wilson. Look, this guy's been nothing but steady Eddie through his whole career. He's been able to give you consistent seasons, throwing up pretty much the same numbers. Now, there is that rumor going around that AB is going to sign with Seattle. That can only help Russell. That's not going to hurt him. The only people it's going to hurt is Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, okay? So go out, pick up Russell, very little change. Another guy with a very little change that I personally don't like because it's so dangerous for my team is Dak Prescott. That's right. Dak just added to his plethora of weapons. He's got Michael Gallup. He's got Amari Cooper. They added CeeDee Lamb to the draft. And as always, he's got Zeke in the backfield. So he can lean on a fabulous run game. He's got 3 weapons that he can use. That's why I'm hands off of the Dallas receiving core this year, just for aside from my personal bias, the fact that it's going to be spread around and you're not going to be able to see who he's going to mesh with. And I mean, Amari Cooper last year, yeah, he got hurt and there was kind of a tale of 2 seasons, but now with CeeDee Lamb in the mix as well, that's just a lot of targets to go around, okay? But I like Dak if you're going to go out and get him 5th, 6th round if he falls that way. If you go in PPR, and we saw on the last mock draft that I did that quarterbacks are going to be falling like Russell Wilson, Kyler, Dak, all those guys are going, instead of going in the 5th in a PPR, they're going in the 6th and 7th. So if you want to wait on that, go ahead. If you want to reach up and grab them just to make sure that you get them, I understand. Another guy, Aaron Rodgers. Look, this guy's, everybody talks about every year he's got a chip on his shoulder. Okay. But this year's kind of different. He's feeling jaded by a team that he's given his heart and soul to, an organization he's given his everything to, and he's not really happy with the way things are going with Matt LaFleur. Now, second-year head coach. Last year they leaned on the run, and if I'm not mistaken, y'all can fact check me on this, they were 9-1 in one-score games. Well, here's the thing. They wound up 13-3. So 9 of those 13 wins were basically a coin flip. They could have gone either way. Now, if you split that down the middle, let's just give them 5 wins and 4 losses. Or actually, I'd say, yeah, we'll do it 6. We'll do a 6-4 for this. So we'll give them 6 wins and 4 losses over those 10 games. So if you give them 4 losses, okay, they're not really that good. So what does that say about the offense? They leaned a lot on the run. Aaron Jones had so many touchdowns, it wasn't even funny. I think he's still scoring touchdowns now. But those games are coin flips. And don't let that 13-3 get you too hyped. But Aaron Rodgers this year basically playing for another team next year if things don't go really well. Record-wise, he can still put up a lot of fantasy numbers, but there's no change around him. There's no coaching change. They only went out and got A.J. Dillon and Jordan Love. And trust me, Green Bay fans don't love that one. Okay. Another guy with very little change around him, Drew Brees. Look, I've been preaching it this whole offseason. There is no team in this COVID land that we live in now that has more continuity around him than Drew Brees. Drew has the same coaching staff, the same support system. Everything is the same with the exception of Emmanuel Sanders, and that only helps him, okay? And if you look at it in the right light, it helps Michael Thomas as well because you've got to pay attention to Emmanuel Sanders. He's still got something left in the tank. He's a legit wide receiver 2. He hasn't been a wide receiver 1 since his days in Denver, but that's beside the point. But yeah, Drew Brees, very little change around him. The last guy on my list here, Matt Ryan. Look, the only thing that they did with Matt Ryan is they got him a arthritic knee running back, and they got him Hayden Hurst to replace Austin Hooper, who left for Cleveland. Now, Hayden Hurst, I believe, can totally replace Hooper, okay? So that's not an issue. The run game, I think that they're going to have to teach defenses to respect that because I don't know how much they're actually going to be respecting Todd Gurley this year. So we'll wait and see on that one. But as far as Matt Ryan goes, look, he's got it done year in and year out. He might not end up in the playoffs. Yes, they choked away a lead in the Super Bowl with the Patriots, but they had the lead against the Patriots. So, I mean, Matt Ryan can perform. He can support 2,000-yard rushers with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. It's not even a question, okay? And you can pretty much find him 7th, 8th round if you want him, okay? Because you got guys like Russell Wilson and Dak and Breeze that are going ahead of him, Kyler Murray, okay? Now, speaking of Kyler Murray is on my most environmental change around him simply for the fact that he got D-Hop this year, okay? So, D-Hop, that's the only guy that is adding to this, and they have a full year. They're going to have a full off-season, a full training camp with Kenyon Drake. So, 1 second, guys. Getting a message in. So, like I said, Kyler Murray, he's got D-Hop coming in. He's got a full training camp with Kenyon Drake. Now, there's no coaching change, so he's set there. We're waiting to see that second-year jump for Kyler Murray. Everybody's banking on it. Is there somebody that you could get at a better price? Yes, with less risk, because Kyler Murray, with this unknown second year, will he take the jump, will he not take the jump? We love what we saw last year, but can he continue it? Have defenses kind of caught on to what he does? So we'll see. Now, as fantasy football relevant, I would say kind of wait on Kyler. I know that everybody's looking, oh, he's the next, Lamar Jackson. Look, we've got Lamar Jackson. Okay. It's just 1 year removed. Okay. So don't let the hype get to you too bad, and maybe let someone else take that risk. Okay. You can find good value at a different spot than where you're drafting Kyler, because Kyler's going off the board really early. He's going off as the 4th, 5th, sometimes the 3rd quarterback off the board. And that's just crazy. Okay. Okay, so next up, we've got Tom Brady. There is nobody, no quarterback on this top 12 list from last year that has more environmental change around them than Tom Brady. Okay, Tom is just, he's on a different team. He's got different receivers, different coaching staff, learning a new system. Hands off Tom Brady, please. Hands off Tom Brady. Okay, let somebody else take that risk. If somebody's going to go out on a limb, let them go, and let them saw the branch off on the wrong side. Okay, so just let them go. The next guy, look, Deshaun Watson's on this list simply because he lost D-Hop. They brought in Brandon Cooks. Okay, Will Fuller can't stay healthy. Okay, Kenny Stills is there. Okay, and we've seen Kenny Stills all over the NFL, and really nothing special there. Okay, they bring in DJ David Johnson from Arizona, and in that D-Hop trade, which I never got. I don't know what they were thinking, but they didn't want to pay him. They shipped him off to Arizona. Congratulations, Kyler Murray. You just won the lottery. Okay. As far as Deshaun Watson goes, this year we're going to find out if Deshaun Watson can basically carry a team by himself. Okay, because David Johnson, he's getting older. Yes, there's a lot of vacated targets, but it's all resting on Deshaun Watson's shoulders this year. Okay, so he's on the list for personnel changes around him. Cam Newton, look, Cam's coming back from injury on a new team, new system, new coaching staff, new personnel around him. I mean, he's just got so much new stuff going on. I wouldn't mind having Cam as a backup, and if I'm right on taking a flyer on him at late in the draft, and we're talking 12th, 13th, 14th round here, okay? If you're right, you're going to look like one of the smartest guys in the room by taking him, because he'll wind up like with me. I had Lamar Jackson in the 10th last year after getting Jared Goff in the 8th. Jared Goff was going to be my starter. There was so much hype, so much expectation behind Jared Goff that I just took a flyer on Lamar Jackson because nobody else was believing in him. I believed in him and wound up in the championship with him. So, not saying that Cam's going to lead you to a championship, but he is with Belichick, however you want to say it. No judgment. But with Cam being in New England, they know how to use players. They know how to put them in good situations. I mean, they've taken guys that nobody else has done, been able to do anything with, and they've been able to get every single thing that they could possibly get out of them. So that's my list for the most. If you have anything that you want to add. I know I left Carson Wentz off. I left Josh Allen off. Of course, I left Jameis Winston off because he's a backup now. Big Ben coming back from injury. You know, Kirk Cousins. There's really not a whole lot of change up there. They did lose Stephon Diggs, but they added Justin Jefferson out of LSU through the draft. So I'm really not seeing a whole lot of change there. The guys that I've just listed are guys that I want you to pay attention to in the draft. Make your best decision. And remember, trust your gut, and you want low risk, high reward when you're doing your first couple of rounds. And when you're going to pick a quarterback, look, pick somebody who is proven, somebody out there who you know can do it. If you want to take a flyer on Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, remember, you're going to have to do a second, third round, and that's a high price tag to pay. So make sure that you're willing to pay that price and look for value later on. Okay, guys, it's been kind of a short episode, so kind of make up for yesterday. Yesterday was a little long, sorry about that, but I like to try to get content out to you guys as much as I can. This has been Team Build Tuesday with the Dean on Fantasy Football Academy 2020. Please don't forget, go visit my friends at Keller's Bakery of Youngsville. Find them on Facebook. And remember, if you go in to Keller's Bakery at 627 Lafayette Street off the Youngsville Highway, you mention that the Dean sent you, 2 free cookies, guys. Cookies are phenomenal. While you're down there, pick up some meringue pies, lemon coconut chocolate. They are absolutely phenomenal. And hey, why not get a dozen donuts while you're there? Guys, if you got a birthday coming up, like my wife does, happy birthday, honey. Love you. And if you got a birthday, you need a birthday cake, Keller's does that too. Check them out on Facebook. You can leave them instant messages or direct messages for orders. They do take them there. Guys, as always, I'm the Dean. This is Fantasy Football Academy 2020, and I will see you later. Remember, mask up if you're going out.